Hi, my name is Hannah Rains. I'm a freshman at Clemson University, and my CU 1000 New Student Dialogue that I attended was Invisible Inequalities, Is It Only Skin Deep? And I attended it on October 23rd, 2013. I think that this is good for CU 1000. I think it's a good component to have because you really learn a lot. I mean, I can't speak for all the other different topics that are offered, but for the one that I attended, I'd say that it's very helpful and it's very eye opening because you learn about a lot of different students that maybe you wouldn't have come in contact with if you hadn't taken the new student dialogue. Um, I'd say that we did achieve a good dialogue in the end. When it first started, everybody's a little nervous, and of course, going when I first went in, I didn't really know what to expect. Everybody was kind of like spread out. We didn't really know like the different people that were going to be in there, and I went with my roommates, so I at least knew somebody. But then, as soon as it started, they made us all get up, and we had to sit in a circle, and then we linked arms with somebody that we had something in common with. So it was kind of a good exercise to find out that, even though we're in a room full of strangers, that we all have something in common. And then we were all able to like link together because all of us had something in common. And so, in the beginning it was kind of quiet because we were all kind of nervous. Like we didn't really know what was going on, what to expect really. But I'd say the longer that the new student dialogue went on was everybody became more comfortable and we became more comfortable with each other and we were able to be more open and know that everybody in that room that we weren't judging one another, that we all had commonalities and that we could just be open with whatever we were talking about. Our leaders were very good. Like I said, since we were very quiet in the beginning, they kind of like asked questions that made us finally open up a little bit more. And then you kind of like piggyback off of what other people say, and so we finally did achieve that good dialogue in the end. One activity that we did that I thought was very eye opening was that they made us get into the circle and they're like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to read out a statement or a question. And anybody, if that like applies to you, then you step forward. And if it doesn't apply to you, then stay where you are. And so, like, I had done a similar activity in high school in a program called Challenge Day. And it's very interesting because you become even closer with the people that you're with because you're kind of like, wow, I thought that I was the only person that had ever experienced that in my life, or like the only person that this has happened to. And then you get into that circle and you realize that there are other people just like you and they've had the same hardships or something like that. And so it's very like wow. It's amazing to realize that wow, you're not the only one and that there are other people out there like you. And I think that was kind of the breaking point in our dialogue where we became really comfortable with each other because we kind of saw that we thought that we were the only ones that had ever experienced something like that in our lives. And then you realize, hey, there are 10 other people in this room that have had that same thing happen to them or something like that. And so I think that was a really good activity because it really helped us get comfortable with one another and feel comfortable in our own skin and kind of open up more with a group. Another activity that we did that I thought was very eye opening was that we watched this movie, and it was about a study that was done quite a few years ago. Um, I'd say maybe like in the 80s or 70s, something like that. But it was a classroom of students, and I think they were like second, third graders, and the teacher split them up and to show them what it was like to be judged based on a characteristic, such as because she was like, "Do you think that racism still exists?" or something like that, and they're like, "No." And so to show them what it felt like to be looked at as different, she did this different activity and split them up whether they had blue eyes or brown eyes. And so at the beginning of the week, it was that all the blue eyed people in the classroom, that they had superiority, that they were better than the brown eyed kids, that they got extra recess. If they wanted seconds at lunchtime, they could have seconds, whatever they wanted, because they were superior. They were the better ones in the room. And so all the little brown-eyed kids, they felt bad because they weren't the same as the blue-eyed kids, and so it was, and then like they started not getting along, the blue-eyed kids and the brown-eyed kids, where before the teacher had pointed out these differences, they had been getting along. So, and then later on in the week, she switched it where it was the brown eyed kids were on top, and that the brown eyed kids were the superior ones, that they were better, they were smarter, they were better looking, they were like all kinds of stuff. And so I thought that was an awesome study to show how it's really not that people are different based on like skin color or eye color or hair color or anything like that. It's like you don't notice it until it's pointed out to you. And I think that was a big concept that we learned in this C1000 New Student Dialogue, was that if we could all just not point things out, the differences of other people, that really we're all the same, and that's how it should be. Like, we should realize that everybody is the same. I mean, we're different, we all have our differences, but we all have commonalities. And so there shouldn't be any um, discrimination toward any other people because we all have those commonalities. Um, so in conclusion, I'd say that this I learned a lot from the CU 1000 New Student Dialogue, and that I say that everybody should take it because it's very eye opening and it's a great experience. So, thank you.